Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Le'ilu nishmasi mimi Rossi Ruspas Mordechai L'schus Akiva Simcha Ben Fega. I want to say first, Hakaras HaToiv. If you look over here, Gary, take a look over here. Somebody just donated. Justin Ivry donated a beautiful menorah and a display. So Yishkoyach. Rabbi Isai, here's hold on a second. Dr. Factor, you'll get your shot. Hold on a second. Over here you have Refuah the barber in one day. Look what he did in one day. And this is just some of it. Who is this? It's your son's barber. Go check him out. Go check him out. He's busy. Torah and Avodah in one shot. Dr. Fact, you had something to say before? Hold on a second. This is from Shmuel Kogos from Harvest Straw, New York. My 11-year-old son Yaakov started Tainus with us and is keeping up. His class has learned and reviewed 5,422 amudim of Perek HaKoines since the beginning of the year. These boys made a Kabbalah. They make a Kabbalah every Erev Shabbos, and how much they'll learn on Shabbos. To celebrate this milestone, his Rebbe, Rabbi Yaakov Meir Halperin, a fellow Shir member, MD Wire, arranged a Retzufa Seder in Riverdale today, sponsored by class parents. Without my son knowing, I rented a school bus. How cool is that? A father rented a yellow school bus and had the opportunity to drive and chaperone this amazing trip. They said it was amazing being part of the Daf story of your son Akiva. Made a deep impression on my son. He has a newfound appreciation and respect for what learning is. Shmuel leaving Hatzalah out of it, Kogos, Harvest Straw, New York. Here he is on the bus. Gewaldige stuff. Also want to show you. This is Chapping Arayin Schusim Shali Wasserteil. Here he is at the Aguda convention. One guy. Never too young. Never too late. And just in between somewhere. Kids are chapping guys to learn Torah. I'm starting a new Masechta. What is it? Almost a little over a week. You have to start chapping people. Siyumim. We'll talk about it maybe on Sunday. This is Mr. Weinberger. I don't know his first name. North Woodmere, MDY rep, steiging with his daughter on a flight. What noch do we have here? Okay. First of all, so this person, I wanted to say, but I forgot to say, so that's why. It's a good thing you reminded me. When I spoke the other day to the Rosh Hashiva about the Gra, and he was Mechulek, he was the one that brought this up. The Gemara Megillah Daf Amud Beis says, to explain what the guy perhaps meant, the Rashiva himself brought it up. Okay, fine. I started the Daf with the Rabbi Stefansky Tainus. It's excellent. Thanks so much for the free Gemara. I recently listened to this. Rabbi, I recently had surgery for melanoma. And the enthusiasm and energy that's produced from this year has been the best medicine in my recovery. It's the highlight of my day as I am homebound for the next few weeks. It's been so powerful that I have just convinced a friend who has never done Daf before to try it out. Could we possibly each get a new Gemara for Megillah? I guess he's new. Yes, when you bring a person to the shir, you get one, and the guy coming to the shir gets one. That's the idea. I guess I should explain it. By Abba Renner, I was re-watching one of your shiurim recently, the Chazar the Daf, starting, of course, with the emails. My 8-year-old daughter, Rosie, who is sitting in the room, pipes up, you already watched the shir. I was shocked and asked her how she knew. She replied, I recognize that email. It reminded me that our children absorb whatever goes on in the house, and in your schus, what was going on was Torah, Ashrecha, Abba Renner. Rebelli, I can't thank you enough. I spent hours and hours on planes since Wednesday. I was able to utilize the time to chazer over your shiurim. I got the download WhatsApp. This is Mo Landy. Mo Landy, right now, I think he's live with a whole bunch of his chevra again. He does these get-togethers. Where is that? In Monsey, I think, somewhere. Monsey. Yes, I did fall asleep sometimes, but we learned that the ears never sleep. So he's listening to shiurim on the plane, and the ears never sleep. It's true. People do that. I heard stories of Gdolim that listen to Torah while they sleep because the ears never sleep. Now I'm sitting at home. I was in the road for 24 hours, mamish straight from the time I left to the airport until I put I'm falling on my face. But I will not go to bed without watching the daf. He's up for 24 hours, but he's going to watch the daf. Thank you so much for spreading Torah in Yiddishkeit the way you do. Shem yivarech otcha. This one I cannot say the name. Oh, we have to start the shir already. Let's start. Okay. I only have this many left. Motzei Shabbos is going to be nice. Oh, Motzei Shabbos. Rabbi Yisai, I'm going to be in Yerushalayim, L'Kovid, Chanukah, to be with my children for Shabbos Chanukah in Yerushalayim. So, Mela, I'm asking, be moichel me. I would like to start the shir at 8 o'clock if possible. Gives me a little bit more time to get back here. Gary's saying that, what? 8. Extra half hour. I heard that. Wise guy. Okay, this Parnas HaChodesh for the Koilel is Chaim from Lakewood, a real person. In fact, he would like to sponsor another month. We'll have to fit him in because the next 2 months are already taken. Baruch Hashem. Maseches Taanis is dedicated by the Kessler and Davis families of Refuah from Miriam Esther devora. Chodesh Kislev is sponsored by Eli Nishmas' father's assistant Shver. Chodesh Kislev is sponsored by Reuven Klein for his mother Nechama Bas Calev. It's a new Chodesh starting Sunday, I guess. It's Shabbos, Motzei Shabbos. I don't know when the Parnas HaChodesh flips. Parnas HaChodesh, the Hanas Brothers, in honor the Hanasabzadeh, Krispin, Benazera Families, and Shlomo Lalezarian for inspiring us to join MDY. MDY Monsey and Teaneck and Passaic Chevra as a schus for shleima for the son of one of our local MDY Chevra. Alter Yeshayo Ben Malkachaya, say the name. Benjy Kolangi, something like that. Q99. In memory of my grandfather's yahrzeit, Reb Nissan Ben Malko, Lili Nishmas, Pnino Bas Reb Ber, whose yahrzeit is today, by her 5 grandchildren who are MDY members in 3 different states, but who made a scene last night together by the family yahrzeit Sudo. Shlomo Chaim Eli Kasriel Ephraim Gewirtzman, Sam Aber, Nechama Aber and families. In memory of Zeb and Shalom Yitzchak Halevi, whose first yahrzeit is today. Her father grandfather spent his last 30 years learning the daf. Became the focal point of his life and was an inspiration for our entire family. We continue his legacy of a smudden dedication to learning the daf and welcome Uncle Sam from Toronto to the Daf Yomi journey with the MDY. Welcome Uncle Sam. Anonymously, Zech Nishma Shlomo Ben Tzvi and Yitel Bas Yaakov Halevi and Zechus for a shidduch for Leo Nesho Bas Tamar. By Hili Apter, Lili Nishmas Yishai Ben Yankov Yehuda Zechroin Livracha. Okay, the boy say. Continue with all the stories in the Agadah, the famous Maseches Taanis. Today is no different. Today are the very, very famous stories. And every one of these stories is a Musar Haskell and an Yesod in life. We are holding on the bottom of Daf Chof Amud Beis. There is a Manchester get-together, Motzei Shabbos, Ayin Shom. We're holding 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 lines from the bottom. We just finished saying what was so special about Rav Ada bar Ahava, that Rav Huna himself needed to come on to Rav Ada bar Ahava to save his wine. He had the wine in the house and he's like trying to slip out the wine without the house falling on him, and he used Rav Ada bar Ahava as a human shield. Thank you. That's exactly the word I was looking for. Words. Human shield. And Rav Ada bar Ahava didn't appreciate it because as soon as they left the house collapsed. But what about Rav Huna himself? He was he wasn't a pushover. This is Rav Huna, the famous Rav Huna. I don't remember anything from when he was young, but I do remember him when he was already older. Anytime it was about to rain, he was very wealthy, Rav Huna. So they had this golden chariot, a chair. They would schlep him on this golden chair. And he would inspect the entire city. Any wall that was about to collapse, he he took it in his own hands, you knock it down. If the owner of that wall could rebuild it, let that guy build it himself. You don't want a wall that's about to tumble and hurt somebody as it rains. But if the guy couldn't afford it, so that was the mile over here. He'd spend his own money and repair everybody's wall in the city. Here's a big one. Every Erev Shabbos, he would send out his messenger to the marketplace. Any leftover vegetable, which the fruit store can't do anything with. What are they going to do with it? It's already Shabbos. Shabbos goes the day. What, they're going to sell Sunday here and there? So they have the same issue. They don't bring produce in that much on Fridays. You can't even buy stuff on Sunday, right? They're not even... There's issues. There's an issue with the stock. What do? I'll help you out. I don't want you to not have enough produce Erev Shabbos. I don't want you to be full. What are you concerned? That people are not going to purchase everything? I'll buy all the leftover. Now, what would he do with everything? Hard to understand. He would toss it into the river. As the Gemara of Eli Stefansky, why did he toss it into the river? He should give it to the poor. Says the Gemara, if you get the poor used to getting free fruit, they won't go purchase it Erev Shabbos. If they don't purchase it Erev Shabbos, what if nothing is left? All of a sudden he comes, oh, Shalom Aleichem. I have a friend that gets free challah from the bakery, the leftover challah. And then I saw him like literally 2 weeks ago. This is what we don't have challah. There's nothing left in the bakery. We didn't get. Now what do we do? That's the problem. If you're going to be soymech on freebies, at the end of the day, what if there's no freebie? So let him give it to an animal. Listen to this. It's usher to give food that's edible by human beings to an animal. In fact, the Magen Avraham brings this as halacha. Not everybody agrees with him. It seems like he might be one of the only ones that says it. But he says, when you go to the zoo, you don't throw a banana to a monkey. It's edible for human beings. It's also, it says over here, you don't give. It's bizu yachlim, says Rashi. One reason. Other reason, because Baruch doesn't want you to waste money. Eat it for yourself. So the big question is, I can't give it to my dog, but I should throw it in the river. He threw it in the river. It's a puzzle. The Gemara says, I'm in the middle of the question. The Gemara says that you don't give it to an animal, it's bizu yachlim. So you toss it in the river. That makes sense. So Rashi says, because at the end of the day, it's going to go downriver and somebody else will find it. Another human being will find it and eat it. But what about the fact? Now what about? Other people argue and they say, you could give it to your dog because anything, you're allowed to take bread. We learned in Bro, you're allowed to take bread and do whatever you want with it as long as it's your tzarech. Again, going back to Shabbos, what does your tzarech mean? For your need, what's your need? Your need is to feed your dog. Your need is, I used to go to this zoo in Petach Tikva. They had an unbelievable chimpanzee. And if you tossed him the right food or you got him angry in a certain way, he'd literally do a show for you. It was a little bit of tzar b'lechan. You had to get him mad, make fun of him, throw something at him. He would unbelievable stuff because he came from a circus or something. His name was Joni. Anybody remember Joni at the Zochel? No, Be'emes. You remember him? Emes. Bo. He remembers Joni. He used to smoke, but backwards. You threw him a cigarette. You remember that? Rabbi Adler remembers it. Unbelievable. Okay, I thought I was the only one. Well, you just dated yourself a little bit. Okay. But that's your tzarech. I mean, I want to watch a show now. So I'm going to give him this. I'm going to throw him a cigarette. Then he's going to smoke it. I'm going to throw him a banana. And if you didn't, he would spray water at you. Then he would take your food and climb to the top of the thing and throw it at you. Oh, it's a beautiful show. Anyway, what were you saying before? Yeah, that's a treifa. You have no tzarech in it. It's not for human beings. It's not for human consumption. Yeah. Zog the Gemara. These are all things just to remember, these ideas that perhaps we never encountered. Well, if you give an animal food, what's the big deal? People take a can of, I don't know what, of tuna, and they give it to the cat outside. Think about it before you do it. Leftovers is not such a big problem. They talk about it. All these things are spoken about. Just to think about. Now, I'm not passing halachas, it's just to think. Says Gemara, let him not purchase it. He's getting into all these issues. The following week, the fruit store is not going to bring enough food, so people are not going to have the vegetables. If Rav Huna had medicine that wasn't available for the others, have a malikuza the mayo for the base of Omar, he would hang up the thing outside of his house, water also, Vikid Army, Milsa the Shifsa have a gomer. He would be protecting people from the shadim that come if you don't wash your hands. He would give them water. And come take your water, come take your medicine. So there's no sakana. You have a karch rifta. When he would eat himself, have a pasach levave, he would open up the door. Everybody should come eat. Whoever wants food, he's wealthy, come and eat. Says Rava, I could do everything. I could imitate Rav Huna to the T. There's one thing I can't do. There's way too many poor in Mechayza. I can't feed that many people. It's going to hit my Karen. How do you say Karen in English? The principal. I don't want to go into my principal. I want to live off the interest. Now, the big problem is, not a big problem, I'm just throwing this out there, not really brought in this farm or anything, but Mechayza was the wealthiest city in Bavel. Well, perhaps the answer is the wealthiest city, but also had 600,000 people, versus Rav Huna's city that only had 500. So you take they're not as wealthy in the, what's the name of the place he lived in, the Reikta, whatever it was called, but it was only 500. How many aniyim were there? Maximum 500 aniyim. When you have 600,000 people, you have a lot of aniyim, a lot more than, okay, fine. And he couldn't handle it himself. Marsha? What, he says? He has the kasha, okay. But the terrorists, I don't think he says. Rabbi, here's a story that every single word here makes a difference, and we should internalize the story, not just listen to the story. Okay, invite another story. This is life right here. This is one of the biggest yisodos in life. It's going to rock us up. It's going to shake us up to the core. Not everybody lived his life based on this hashkaf of this Gemara. It says Gemara, Ilfa v'Rabbi Yochanan have a gar sebarayza. Ilfa and Rabbi Yochanan were learning together. The chikulu milsa, tuva. They had no money. Now, no money doesn't mean they couldn't afford the nicest Tesla on the market or whatever. The chika tuva means they didn't have money. They didn't have bread to put on the table. They didn't have money garnished. Amri, nekum v'nezel v'neva disco. We got to go work. We got to do some business. V'nekayim b'nafshin, and we'll be mekayim a pasuk. Efes kiloyeh b'cha evyoin. You yourself should not be destitute. You shouldn't be an evyon. You shouldn't be poor. It's a chiv on yourself to make sure you are not poor. Azlu oisvei tusei guda re'iyah. They didn't notice. There was a wall that was about to fall down. One of these shaking walls that we're talking about. Havaka korche riften. They were eating some bread. Also, tre malachi hasharis. 2 malachim show up. Shame Rabbi Yochanan. Only Rabbi Yochanan heard. The Omar chad l'chavrei. One said to the other. Nishdi alayu hay guda v'niktelinu. Let's knock down the swallow and kill them both in one shot. Can you imagine if that happened? We wouldn't have the Gal Ador Rabbi Yochanan. Shemanichen chayin oilam haba raboisai. Yes, it's a story in the Gemara, and you could try to ignore it, but it's here. Shemanichem chaye oilam haba. They're leaving alone oilam haba, which is Torah, says Rashi. Chaye oilam haba, Torah. Va'oiskim b'chaye shah. And they're going to do schayra. They're going to do business. What is wrong with these people? We got to kill them. So the other malach tells the other one, leave them alone. One of these two, the kaimel shaita. It's not his time to die yet, and he's going to be a gadol. Rabbi Yochanan shama ilfa lo shama. Rabbi Yochanan heard the whole conversation. Ilfa didn't hear it. Rabbi Yochanan ilfa shama mar midi. Did you, master, hear what was going on? Omar le loy. It says in Rashi here that Ilfa was greater than Rabbi Yochanan. Omar le loy. I didn't hear. Omar midashami ano. Since I am the only one that heard it. Ano v'ilfa. Midashami ano v'ilfa. V'ilfa lo shama. I'm sorry because I'm just reading into this Taisus over here. V'ilfa lo shama. Shma mino di kaimeli shagita. So obviously they were talking to me. I need to turn around and leave the business and go back to learning and live like a poor person. Let me be mekayim another pasuk. They won't stop being evyoy mikervars. You know what? There are going to always be poor people. I'll be one of those poor people. Says the Gemara, we know the end of the story. Well, we don't really know 100%, but we know a little bit. That Rabbi Yochanan became Rabbi Yochanan, the Gadol Hador in Eretz Yisrael. And when Rav, the Gadol Hador of Bavel, argues with Rabbi Yochanan, the Gadol Hador in Eretz Yisrael, halach Rabbi Yochanan. It's always halach like Rabbi Yochanan. Gadol Hador. Imagine the Gemara without Rabbi Yochanan. I mean, it's literally on every daf, right? And also Ilfa. When Ilfa was done making money, Malach Rabbi Yochanan, he was already the Rosh Hashiva. Says Rashi, when you become the Rosh Hashiva, you become wealthy. We're mechuyev to support you, so they would throw money at him. He became extremely wealthy, Rabbi Yochanan. So he was mekayim this, and then at the end, look what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did to him. He made more money than Ilfa. Amrullah. So Rabbi Yochanan tells him, if you would have came back with me to yeshiva, so Ilfa tells Rabbi Yochanan, you wouldn't become Rosh Yeshiva, I would. Says the Gemara, Azal Tolan Amshei Baskaria. Ilfa wanted to show Rabbi Yochanan how great he was. Did I mess it up? Amrullah. Yeah, Amrullah. The people said, okay? So he says like this. This is a mast. He went up, he climbed up to the tippy top, Ilfa. And he says to the Olam, Faher me. Give me a Faher. I know everything. I'm better than the Belza Chassid in the Koil. Ask me anything. Ask me any Brisa. I'm going to show you where it came from the Mishnah. You'll tell me a Brisa, the Reb Chia, Reb Oishaya, in those days, Reb Chia, Reb Oishaya, we always speak about them. They composed the Brisas, which didn't make it into the Mishnah. And if I can't prove the Brisa from a Mishnah, now this finta, I'm going to throw myself off this mast, v'tavanam, I'm going to drown. Many times, we know the famous Taisvas. Usually it means Eliyahu Hanavi. Taisvas says not always. He proves that's not always. Stop here, and we're going a little off. Dagata for a minute. Chas v'shalom. We're going to come right back to the story. But a halacha. A guy who's dying and he says, give 1 shekel to my sons. Every b'Shabbos, every week. Here's what they're getting. The trust fund is a shekel a week. But there's a lot of kids. They need double the amount. They need a selah. You give them the full amount. Vim Omar, why? So says Rashi, amazing. Gewaldige stuff. You see it b'chush. What's the problem with these rich kids? They don't know how to deal with life. They're spoiled. They don't know how to work. So this guy wanted to make sure that they're not trust fund babies. They're going to sit there, give them a shekel. Let them work. I'm not making this up. They should learn how to work, how to be productive in life. And like that, they'll make some money. But he didn't want them to starve. So if they can't make it, give them a little extra. He did it to get them going, but he wasn't serious about it. But if he said before, I'm saying specifically, don't give them just a shekel. And a shekel, then you only give them a shekel. And if he says, if these children die, other people should get the Yerusha, now he meant to say that there should be something left. It doesn't matter how he said it, you only give them a shekel. So he's asking him, he's about to jump. No. Who do you think said this in the Mishnah? Says, Ilfa Reb Meir. This is the quote-unquote balabas, the guy that went to work. You can ask him anywhere. The Omar mitzvah lekayim divrei hameis. It's a mitzvah to mekayim what the Meis says. But boy, I just want to pause it for a second. It's my job to invoke anger and hatred. Chas v'shalom. Somebody said, one of my very good friends, an Israeli who doesn't know English, he comes after this year. He says, I just heard, you're Meshuggah. You said you shouldn't go to Beis HaKfaras. How dare you say such a thing? I said, I was calling their results, some cipher, the guy. Yeah, but there's so many Breslovers that go. Blah, blah, blah. I said, first of all, they want to go to Gdolim. I'm not going into that sugya. I'm saying going through the Kfar. And I'm just telling you what I read and what there is. You shouldn't, I myself go. You're putting yourself in a sakana. The villain going to say, hey, you shouldn't talk like that. It's my job. I told him. This is what I told him. I said, it's 7:15 in the morning. The other one's falling asleep. I need to wake them up once in a while. Here, I'm going to wake you up. Reb Moshe Feinstein. Yoyer Deya, Chelik Gimel, Siman Pei Beis, brings this Gemara. This Gemara, that's the only thing he brings in the whole tshuva. He says, obviously, you all know this tshuva, and the guys from YU are going to be very upset at me, Don't even bother writing the emails, because I was over on this myself. But it's my job to tell you what it says here. If you eat cholav stam, why? Because Reb Moshe Feinstein said you're allowed to. So Reb Moshe Feinstein said this also. Ayin Taanis Daf Aleph. He says, if you send your kids to college, they'll never become Talmid Chacham. You need all your strength to learn Torah. He's going to waste his koiches also for external learnings. And he goes on, you don't say this over to anybody. So nobody say this over, please. I'm just bringing out the other side. You hold like this, great, and your shivas hold like, I'm just saying what Reb Moshe Feinstein says. I ain't sure a whole long thing. I did my job. I've said a bunch of people. Now we can move on. What? Chelik Gimel Pei Yoyer Deya, Chelik Gimel Siman Pei Beis. Zog the Gemara, one of the most famous stories in Shas. By the way, before we even learn this, based on this Gemara, there's a famous halacha in the Shulchan Aruch that says that you have to, there's a chiyuv. So anything that comes across your path, you mechuyev to say, Kol man l'aved Rachmana l'tav avid. Nechama Ish Gamzu was the Rebbe of Rebbe Kiva. 30 years, I think he learned by him. That's the lashon of Rebbe Kiva. Kol man l'aved Rachmana l'tav avid. The famous story with the donkey and the fire and the this, and he didn't die from it. Okay, here's the story. Unbelievable. We can't even fathom this. He was blind in two eyes. He didn't have arms. He didn't have feet. He had boils on his entire body. And his house was even about to fall in. And his bed, the legs, he couldn't, if an ant crawled on him, he couldn't shake the ant off. He didn't have feet. He didn't have hands. So in order that the ant shouldn't crawl on him, they had to put water, his bed on water, so the ants couldn't get them. They said, okay, the house is about to fall down, let's get him out of here. So let's get him out, get rid of all the other stuff. First, get rid of everything. Then you get rid of me. As when I'm here, the house can't fall down, so get rid of the other stuff if you want to save the stuff. So, sure enough, they got rid of the stuff, and then they got rid of him. The house falls down immediately. Rebbe, you just proved it to us. Your words were 100%. As soon as we took you out, the house fell down. So how does a big tzaddik viraloi? How is it possible you don't have two hands, you don't have eyes? How? What? What's going on here? I caused it upon myself. I was once going to my shviger. How do you go to the shviger's house, Rabbi Isai? This is how you go. Come prepared. 3 donkeys worth of food. The coke, the whiskey, and the cakes and the desserts. 3 donkeys worth. Hey, you don't stop going to the shviger. What, you're going to go? Let her give you food. You show up the way you're supposed to show up. Fine. Now, not to my shviger, no way. 7 types of meat. I'm going to bring food there. Rabbi, Parnaseini. Huh? Parnaseini. Comes the ani and says, please give me something. I see you have a lot of food. Only 3 donkeys worth. Amarti loy. Okay, I'll give you. Let me undo my baggage here. The ani didn't say, I'm dying. I have a minute to live. He said, give me some food. okay. He didn't say no. He said, I will. But it was too late. He died. I went and I fell on his face and I said, I should have noticed, and it's the darkest of the dark. What did he do? What did he do wrong? He took a little bit more time than he could have. He should have chopped his thing open and grabbed, like Atzola grabs the defibrillator, whatever. Grab it. He took his time. He took off the top one, then the second one. 2 minutes later, he's dead. If he would have done it in 20 seconds, he could have saved his life. That was the taina. I should have seen that you're about to die. My eyes didn't see and they didn't notice, and I have a chiyuv to notice on my friends. My hands didn't have rachmanas. They should be chopped off. Also my feet. I should have gone quicker. I couldn't believe it. I was in pain. I said, everything should happen to me. I should be full of boils. Shem Yerachim, that we see you like this. Shem Yerachim, if this was not the matzav, then Hashem would have to punish me slightly. That we punish tzaddikim. And it's a good thing you see me like this. This is a beautiful thing. Now I know I'm going straight to Gan Eden. Why do they call him Nechama Gamzu? By the way, there's a place here in Eretz Yisrael called Gamzu. They say that Nachum Ish Gamzu comes from Gamzu. He also used to say Gamzu L'Toiva. It was like a play on words, but he lived in Gamzu. The Kol Milsa Dahava Solkale, anything that ever happened to him, Omar Gamzu L'Toiva. Buried in Tzfat. Okay? They wanted to give a gift to the Kesar, to the Caesar. Omru, man Yezel, who should go? Yezel Nachum Ish Gamzu, the Melumen Benisanu. He could get out of trouble. He has Nisim. They sent with him a box full of jewels. He went to sleep somewhere. The owners, Mamish, like in New York, I told you this when I lived in New York when I was a bach. I don't know if they still do it. They run around the street. Then they have VCRs. They're selling, electronic stuff. You guys don't know what VCRs are. A box of electronics. Show beautiful box. So how much is it? Usually in the store it costs $120. Sell it to you for $15. Wow, unbelievable deal. You get the box, you come home, you open it up, there's a rock inside, and on top of the rock, they used to, bedafka, put a package of mustard from McDonald's, and they go, haha, suckers, like that. It's not something that we stole from you, but we got you. Anyway, that's what they did here. They took out the jewels, filled it up with dirt, it feels kind of the same weight, and he goes on his merry way. Says the Gemara, he gets to the Caesar, hey, I brought you a present from the Jews, a box of dirt. You want to kill the whole entourage over there. Omar, they're making fun of me, a joke. They're making a joke out of me. Give me dirt. Immediately he says, this box is toiva. It's good. Also, Elio, he comes and looks like one of the Romans over there. Maybe this is the special dirt of Avraham, of the Jews. It's a Jewish dirt from his forefathers. The Ephraim. Have a saife gili. Have a saife. When they threw the dirt, it became to swords. Gili. If they threw straw, have a gire. It was really arrows. The siv. You think of a charba? Have a chadam medinta de lematzel michbesha. There was a place they couldn't conquer. But kumina, they said, you know what? We can't do anything about it. And they started throwing dirt at them, and the dirt turned into swords, and people got killed. They destroyed everybody with a bunch of dirt. So they go into to reward the Jew, and they gave him in return a bunch of jewels. The bottom line is, Rabbi Isai, we see this all the time. My two mishalom that I always have in my head is, I've seen it many times. People break shidduchim, even chas v'shalom divorce, and at the end, the shidduch that they have is so much better and so much more. A guy loses his job, only to find out that he makes, that much more money and it's much easier. Gam zu l'toiva. Everything, the worst of the worst. It could be a box of whatever, of dirt. Dirt is better than anything else. Dirt is better than margolias. Dirt is nuclear bombs. It kills the enemy. It does it. The king doesn't need margolias. Who needs margolias? He has margolias. He just gave back margolias. You giving him more margolias? He didn't have this. This is better. Gam zu l'toiva. Sorry. Oh, Kiosu. So now they're going back. Bisu ba'udayar. So they stopped off in the same hotel. Oh, how do you get a box full of jewels? Oh, nice stuff, he told him. My dishakli mehoche. The stuff that I took from here, meaning your lousy dirt, I'm still awesome. I actually brought it to them. So they needed to knock down their house. They wanted to bring a lot of it. If he brought one box of dirt and we're going to bring truckloads of it. So they knocked down their house as part of the punishment. This is the same dirt as Nechama Gamzu. They tested it out. They come to the enemy. They come running over to the enemy. Throw dirt, and they go shoot back, and they're dead. Didn't work. They got little anach the yair, so they killed all these people. So they lost their house. They lost their life. Everything is great. What's dever? If you have a city of 500 people, like Ravuna city, and one person dies every day for 3 days straight. If it's 3 times the size, 1,500 people, so now you have 3 times the dead of the 500 city. 3 dead people every day for 3 days. If they all die in one shot, it's a coincidence. A bunch of people died, but that's not a megeva. If it's only 500 people, turning to Daf Amud Beis, sponsored by Adam Miriam, my mother Gil, Ephraim Gewirtzman, Gittel Bat Pesach B'Chava Rivka. Sponsored anonymously as a schus for shidduchim for my siblings and myself. If it happens in one shot or over 4 days, not 3 days, says the Gemara, that's the city of Rav Huna. It had 500 people. So Rav Nachman, the son of who? The famous Rav Chizda, he was Gozer Taanis. Over Rav Nachman by Yitzchok comes another Rav Nachman, not the son of Rav Chizda. The son of Yitzchok, his father was just plain old Yitzchok, not Rav Yitzchok. Kiman Kirimei. The Omar Richak, the Yichoisav, Chayav, Kir the Yichoisav, like Kolchkin. So the famous Gemara in Baba Kama, Tam in a Muad. If you have an ox that gores 3 times, it becomes a muad, you chayiv nezek shalom. If it's only a tam, then you pay 50%. How many times and how many days? Nechama says 3 gorings in 3 days. Comes Rameir and says no. If he gores 3 times in 1 day, kolchkin. It's even more of a raya that he's a bad, and that's how they base the whole thing. They can say mashav ruach or marageshim 90 times in 1 day, because it doesn't have to be over 30 days saying mashav ruach. You can say it in 1 shot. Okay, fine. So Rav Nachman, the son of Rav Chizda, the son of the famous Rav Chizda, says, you're such a great person, why don't you come live by us? It's not where he lives, it's you or Mechabed. I used to go to Letterman in Bnei Brak. Where does Reb Chaim Kanevsky sit? Somewhere like between everybody. He doesn't sit, his father sat in the front. Of course he wouldn't sit on that seat, nobody sits in the He sits in the back. Today, I don't know, he sits in the front of his room where he learns, but back in Letterman, that's what it was. Okay, as long as the Shekhinah is there, how long is the Shekhinah there? Rashi goes into the whole thing, that the Shekhinah was there for 10 months. All the way to Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Fine. A lot of people were asking what was going on by the Siyum in Rosh Hashanah if you were there, over here. So I was in the middle of Kaddish, all of a sudden, a tkiya. I thought it was nice and shticky because, Rosh Hashanah, we're learning Rosh Hashanah about Shofar, so in the middle of Kaddish. But in fact, I found the Rashi, a beautiful Rashi. Rashi says, it's like 8 lines before it becomes white on the bottom. Says Rashi. You should blow a shofar during a siyum. I should look to Rashi. I don't know. You can learn other pshatim. I'm going to get an email from that. That's what you're saying. You're worried. That's not what Rashi meant. I saw in the art scroll, he said a little different. The oil mayed was in the midbar. If a person has saras, he can't be in any of the machnas, the 3 machnas. Once you roll it up, everybody can walk in there. Okay, I hear. You don't want to come to me. Maybe I should come move by you. 100, the son of a 50, should come. It's a mana ben mana. 100, you're 100, the son of 100. Your father is who? Rav Chizda. So you're 100, the son of 100. Who am I? My father's not that chashav. My father's a 50. I'm 100. I'm Rav Nachman, but the son of Yitzchak. So it makes more sense that I should come to you. It's a mana ben pras. Says the Gemara, Besura haves devarta. There was a plague in Surah. Also, you're going to go home dizzy from the amount of information, the amount of yisoidus in life. Unbelievable. There was a plague in Surah, in Syria. But in the neighborhood of Rav, the Gadol Adar in Bavel, there was nothing going on there. Everybody thought, the Gadol Adar lives here, that's why there's no plague. Everybody that thought that, a lot of people got a dream at night. Boom. Rav did a fishes chusa tuva. There's nothing for somebody as great as Rav. We don't have to come on to him. What do we have to come on to? You're not going to believe this, Rabbi. You're not going to believe this. There's a guy that owned a shovel and a hoe. And he used to lend it out. So people could bury to get a caver. So Mida connected Mida because he was so involved in the chesed. So they saved his entire city over there. Mida, they're not going to bury the dead. He buries dead for chesed. We're not going to bury you. Unreal. You don't have to come on to Rav, the Gadol Adar. Boy, I looked it up. How much does a shovel cost? $28. $28.99. Yeah. And that you're not giving $28. You get it back. So the value of 50 cents. You get for 50 cents, for a chesed of 50 cents. Can you imagine if you give a Gemara that costs only $25? But Reb Nissan Ben in fact says, I'm not making this up. Reb Nissan Ben always tells people, you want to be saved from sickness, from disease, give money to sick people. You want to be saved from chinuch, give money to transportation that brings kids from the bad neighbors to the good neighbors. He says this. And you want to learn Torah and stick to Torah, give somebody else a Gemara. Psh, help people out with Torah. Mida keneged Mida. Zok the Gemara. Nice plug, no? You all look at me. You're not taking this in. You're not being serious. Rabbi say you're not being serious. We got 7 days. How many people did you bring, Yosef? You're laughing and joking around there. You brought those kids 6 months ago. It's time to bring another guy. What are you pointing to your kid? You're working. Look, let's go back to Amud Aleph for you. Says the Gemara, if a Rabbi Yochanan have a guy the Chikilu Milsa, they had to go work. Working. Says the Gemara, it gets better. Bidreikras havas dleiksa. There's a big fire, like in Chicago, the whole city burnt out. But Rav Huna, we know he lived in this place, Dreikras. But in his little gegant in that place, there's no fire. Everybody thought, the Adar lives there, no fire. Again, they had a dream. There's nothing. You think he needs to use up his chusim for this? There's a woman that was going this. Chesed, Rabbi said Chesed. The Nechama tanura mishaylis shivuvusei. She would warm up her oven Erev Shabbos and let her neighborhood use it. For that little Chesed, she saved everybody. She did Chesed with fire. She was saved from fire. Mida keneged Mida. Rabbi, I was thinking to myself, if she did fire, so Gemara also. Fire. Also Kamse, locust is coming. Gazet Tanisa. They're going to eat up the crop. We have to fast. Don't worry about them. These are grasshoppers that are not, they're dangerous. But right now they're eating. They're not eating the stuff. It's fine. Look at this picture. It's an illegal picture, so don't try to put it back. Did the grasshopper come with a suitcase? What? What do you mean he's not eating? He's not eating. He came with his own sandwich? he's going to eat in a second. If he's not eating, it's because Kosh Baruch is not giving him food. He's telling him not to eat. They're going to destroy a crab. It doesn't make any sense that they're not eating. There's the pigs, the PIGs, the Dover Achers are dying out. Now you're going to start asking, what does PIG have to do with Jews? Which Jew has a PIG? Says Gemara, the other guy has PIGs, and because they're dying, it's going to cause my flock of sheep to die. Loi. So Rashi says, there's something called the keres, right over here. And humans and PIGs, pigs, don't have it. And because it's similar, and by the way, remember, there's the whole swine flu that comes from chazerim, comes from the chazer to the human being. So there's a connection between human beings and the dover acher. And by the way, here in Eretz Yisrael, there was one of the sarim said you can't call it the swine flu. It's also to use that word. They called it the Mexican flu or something. No? Remember that? Something. There's a plague in Beichoizoi. Goes to Tanisa. So he said, you got to fast. But it's very far from us. There's no bridge or anything that could stop it. It's like COVID. There's COVID in China. 5 minutes later, guy's on a plane, comes to New York. The whole New York has it. Same thing. What was the plague in Europe? The black plague. One guy went there, they had it over here. So he said, okay, all I need to do is run away to the next city and I'll get away from it. He ran away to the next city. The whole city, the next city got it. And a third of Europe was wiped out. You can't stop it. What about Eretz Yisrael? Goes to Tanisa. If the master gets a zetz, Eretz Yisrael, Shivcha Likoshkin, certainly Chutzlaretz. Says Gemara, time of the Gvir of Shivcha, what if it's 2 places in Chutzlaretz? You don't have to fast. The story we just had goes to Tanisa from one place to the other. You could get from one place to another. There's trains and everything going through. So it comes out from the Gemara. In Chutzlaretz, if there's one way to get from one place to the other, then you have to be geyser. But in Eretz Yisrael, even if there's no shayaris mitzuyos, since the master has the disease, has the plague, the whole world has to fast, provided it's in the entire Eretz Yisrael. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Have a great day. Shira Matzah Shabbos, 8 o'clock, not 7:30, for this 1 week.